My name is Pandit Dasa. As Kanisha mentioned, I'm a mindful leadership expert, and I also lived as a monk in New York City for 15 years. I'm no longer a monk. The way I became a monk is kind of a long story. I went through many ups and downs in my life. We went from being multimillionaires in Los Angeles at one point in the 90s to losing everything, to living in post-communist Bulgaria for a couple of years. And that's when my sort of mindfulness journey began, when things were sort of turned upside down for me in my life, a very introspective and a very difficult time filled with a lot of change and uncertainty, sort of like kind of what's happening today. Well, it can't be compared to what's happening today because this is affecting the entire planet. But it was a time of uncertainty and fear and panic for me, as well as it is sort of now in our environment. After being in Bulgaria for a couple of years, we moved back to the US. Then I went to India to live in a monastery for a month. Loved it so much, spent 6 months there. Came back to the East Coast and moved into a monastery in New York City. Spent 15 years living as a monk in New York City. And so, one of the things that I really learned through all these changes that we've been through, changes happen to us all the time. And one of the biggest changes that's ever happened to humanity as a collective is happening right now. And changes that we can't control, things that we don't have a say over, and things that we don't plan, and changes that make our life a little confusing or difficult or inconvenient. Those are the kind of changes that bring about fear and stress and anxiety, which I think a lot of us are experiencing right now. And what I think that it's really important that even though we're going through such a difficult time, to look and see how can we individually and as a society learn to grow and mature from this situation. I know that all the things that have happened to me, as much turbulence as there was in my life, going from India to the US to Bulgaria to the East Coast, so going through all of this has helped me grow in ways that I could never have planned to grow in that way. I could have never imagined doing these things to help me bring me to where I'm at today. As Steve Jobs said something really nice, that you can only connect the dots when you look back at your life. You can't connect the dots looking forward. So I think if we all look back at our life, the difficult things that we've been through, we can all probably agree to some degree or another that each situation has helped me grow and become who I am today. So let's see, even though our life is a little inconvenienced right now, I want us to just make sure that we're taking time out to think about, what am I learning from this situation and how can I grow from this situation? Because growth usually doesn't happen unless we go through some pain and difficulty. For example, if you go to the gym and you're lifting weights and you're always just lifting 10 pounds, you're never really going to grow. You're going to stay there. It's only when you add an extra few pounds and it's a little harder, that's when growth takes place. So you can just think of this pandemic as life adding weight, or the universe adding weight to our life so we can become stronger. Because when one thing ends, there's always something waiting around the corner. And for us to deal with the next thing, we need to make sure that we become stronger through this one situation. So can you imagine having the ability to press pause on your mind when it starts remembering negative things or worries about things you can't control? Imagine having the power to set pause. How much anxiety would you save yourself in that moment and throughout your life if you could learn how to pause your mind? And that's what mindfulness training is. That's what we can learn how to do with mindfulness. And it's really powerful because it is possible.